Okay,
All
Santari.
right. Yes. Hey, everyone. Maybe a short introduction to the start from everyone participating here. I can have a start here. So my name is Santeri. I'm from Finland, as the company Seppo that we are focusing on today, and the platform is from Finland as well. I'm a bit sorry about my voice. Finland has autumn coming now, so that means that the temperatures are going low and everyone is getting flu. So that's why I have a bit stuffy nose. Well, when we are talking about temperatures are going low, maybe I need to put it to a scale. So for us, when we are having 10, 15 degrees, it's getting a bit cold for us, but not too cold, but enough that people don't know, myself included, don't know how to clothe properly. So then we are getting our flu season. Yeah, it's interesting that we don't know how to clothe properly because we are having in the winter time -20, -30 degrees, but it's always after summertime when we have our 2 months of sunny time, we forget how to wear jackets properly. I'm going to be talking more about Seppo in a short notice, but maybe a bit about myself. I've been working for 7.5 years with gamification at Seppo, teaching and consulting clients how to use gamification in different kind of projects, teaching how to use Seppo, the tool itself. And projects are really varying from one end to another. During the last year, I have been involved with creating a recycling game for 7-year-old children that had problems that nothing could be written and everything had to be done with videos and audios. And at the same time, during the last year, I have been involved with creating a strategy implementation game for a multinational mining company working in all the continents in the world. So using Seppo has a lot of options for different fields and also for different ages. And that's I guess also that's the nice part of my work, that I get to work with different topics and with different kind of people creating, but with the same object always, to make learning interesting and create, as our slogan is, magical learning moments. But yeah, I guess that's about me, and we are going to go soon to the actual agenda for today, but maybe short word from everyone, where you are from and what are you looking for from this session today.
Nuria.
Hello, my English is not very good, sorry. So I don't know if I can feel the conversation, but I will try to do it. Nuria, I'm from, I'm the manager, sustainability manager in a hotel in Salou, Tarragona, next to Portaventura. I don't know if you know the park.
I have been there.
Yeah. So we are in Salou. We have so sustainability system implemented since 25 years. So we are working in this type of things so very long. And so I wanted to do something for gaming for my employees, and with the difficult thing that we have people from other countries, people that don't speak Spanish, and maybe that cannot read Spanish or other languages. So so I will need a special thing for my enterprise.
All right, sounds good.
David.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is David from APB. It's the Port Authority of Barcelona. I'm part of the sustainability team of the port. We are our aim is enforce motivation of our employees to sustainability focus. I have two goals. Learn about learning for fun and extract or motivate the children we have inside to our employees. And also a little bit information. I am volunteer of Copa America and American Cup of Barcelona. That is important event nowadays. I don't know if you know. And you are well invited to Barcelona to know all these opportunities.
Nice. Thank you for being here. And who is next?
Then John Luis.
Hello everyone, my name is Jean Luis. I am working in Urbixa. Urbixa is the company who gestion, I don't know the name exactly, the Ciutat de la Justícia is a big buildings of the government, have the justice inside. And we have another buildings and other rents for restaurants, lot of companies. And we make everyone and all the city goes correct, no? And all the parts of the city. There's the parking until of the of the energies and everything. And we're interested in sustainability a lot. A lot of companies are interested in work with us. And the thing is that the employers, trade employers have really clear what is it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And well, me and Maria are already familiar. We have been talking a lot I think that was all, right?
Yep.
All right. Then I will share my screen so we can have some structure with it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Good. Let's see if it works also. And you are also seeing when I'm changing the slides. Yeah, perfect. Sometimes it shows the first, but then not the next ones. So for today's workshop, we have reservation for 3 hours. We may use that whole 3 hours, or we may only use for the first 2 hours. We'll see. But we have enough time to go through all the discussion points for today. We already done for the first part, and next we are going for the Seppo in a nutshell. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Seppo. Not going to go too much to details, what kind of things you can do there, but that will come in the next workshop. And I will also provide you some demo games to be tested between the first and the second workshop, so you can see in practice what it can look like when you create your own game. The third part, I would be delighted to hear a little bit more. We have already been talking earlier about the project we are doing, but maybe do like a quick in a nutshell part from you as well, that what we are doing, who are going to be the stakeholders in the game and going to be playing the game, and why we are doing this for. So maybe a short kind of wrap up with that as well. Then we go for the workshop parts where we are going to be discussing today the learning goals, because usually when we start to create a learning game, majority of people participating in my workshop are focused on the game part, but Seppo is a learning game tool, so we need to discuss what are our learning objectives for the game, so that when we start to design the learning content, we are actually hitting the learning goals, so we achieve that. The gaming part, the gamification part, will work as a extrinsic motivation factor, but the substance in itself has to be the focus, what we are aiming here. Then there will be the game setting and planning, which is circling around the possibilities and restrictions with the game situation itself. So some things like, are we going to be playing in teams or individuals? Are we going to be playing in a certain location, or will it be online? How long we can take for the game? We have already had, and I know you guys also have had some discussions on that, but just to kind of set it in stone during this workshop so that everyone involved will know what we are trying to do and what are the possibilities and limitations for our working. And the last part would be about stories. I don't think we should be going too much into detail today with the stories, but I'm gonna kind of tell you about what's the role with the stories in Seppo games and what you could be already starting to plan with before the second workshop. Does this agenda sound okay for everyone? Would you want to have something added here? Or all seem to be good with this. Let's go for the Seppo in a nutshell then. So what is Seppo? Maybe that's the first part to be cleared. It's a gamification platform. So we are not a ready game that you would just make a difference with your content. We are a tool. So in a similar fashion than PowerPoint that provides you the form that you can create the slides and add your content, in the same way we at Seppo provide you a platform where you can create your own game. So it will be more learning game than a video game like. So there will be no shooting or no 3D environments. It's more about questions that utilize the gamification mechanics. And when I'm talking about Seppo games, I know that I'm not really talking honestly there, because these are more about learning that is gamified than actual games, because actual games would usually involve a bit more this kind of gamer idea where you are using a controller or have more like a fast-paced things and flashing things and animations, and we are more focused on gamifying the learning part there. Basically, what you can gamify with Seppo is almost anything. 11 years ago, when the company was founded, we started with education side. Our CEO and founder used to be a history teacher in high school, and they made a tool for teachers to gamify their lessons. So whether you were a math teacher, English teacher, biology teacher, if you want to make something different to your classroom, you could make a game out of it. And usually students would love to hear that they are not having a normal lecture, but instead have a game. About 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, we start to get more traction from the corporation side and companies asking that, hey, we have seen this tool working in schools. Have you ever thought about providing this tool also for companies that we could have also use for it? And we were obviously intrigued about it, and we started to test out how does this work with adults, with companies, with something else than just mathematics or language teaching. And we found out that the same reason why gamification works for students, it also works for adults. And that is that everyone, not just children, but also adults, we are all, to put it bluntly, we are bored. We want to have trainings in companies. We want to have it all in a more activating way. We want to be more involved with the process. So instead of someone just having a 1 hour presentation somewhere, we want to be involved with it. We want to be tested all the time. When we learn something, we want to immediately think about it and utilize it in some way. And gamification is a good way for that. We love to get what is gamification is to create activity, to create engagement with a topic. And gamification has been used already for a long time in many fields of business. Let's say, for example, was it Nure who was from a hotel? A lot of these tools for example, hotel reservations like booking.com or flight services. What they do is when you book a hotel, you get some kind of points. Let's say in booking, you get points. And once you generate enough points, you get genius levels. And all this is gamification. You are the provider sets you some kind of goals, And when you reach those goals, you are awarded with something. You are awarded with points, you are awarded with different kind of levels. And when you get to these levels, you get to exchange them for some goods for yourself. So maybe you get a discount, or maybe you get a free something. Maybe you get, if you are doing flights, you get a free flight somewhere, or you get points that you can use to buy some, maybe an upgrade to your flight, or maybe you can buy something else with it. So we are provided the system that utilizes the symbolism and language from games, because I mean, in normal life, we are not talking about bonus levels or points or competition or rewards. It's more like this game idea, the way of thinking. And this is something we are trying to now do also with education, because sometimes when we are talking about corporate trainings, when the employee joins them, their only motivation is to survive it. They know that it lasts for 60 minutes and they are looking at the clock all the time when it's going to end. No, now it's 45 minutes. Now it's 30 minutes. And that's really negative way of looking at it. And now with the game, we are trying to make it more positive. So you see that you have 12 exercises. Once you are done with 3, you get a level up, you get some points. There's maybe a competition where you can see how you are matched against each other. Are you winning there? So we are making it something that you want to achieve instead of just survive it. And this is something in a really core of gamification. When we look at some game mechanics, and when I'm talking about Seppo especially. Seppo is a platform that enables you to make your learning content gamified. And for many of these mechanics, we provide easy to use tools there. So do you want to have competition in your game? Well, we have points there, we have scoreboards so the players can see how they are faring against each other. Do you want to have the feeling of advancement in the game? The Seppo all the time shows the player how they are progressing when the exercises turn from unfinished to completed. It gives this small visual kind of cue that you are progressing all the time. And these are basically, you don't have to invent these, you just have to use them. Some of them are used by default already, and some of them are something that you need to choose. Maybe if I would like to pick here 2 or 3, in my opinion, the most important ones. It kind of saddens me, but it's also a truth that competition is a really big motivator with adults especially. It's countless times I have been surprised when we are doing some kind of a learning game with adults and suddenly people start to send screenshots of scoreboard and asking how are you others faring, that I'm in the top 3 now. And I'm thinking like we have not even advertised or marketed anything about the competition. It's just a side thing there, but people really pick it up. When they see that you got 1,000 points from this task, or you did a great job, you got 5,000 points, it gets some really primal instincts in ourselves, wakes that we want to win, we want to compete. And that is something really strong. And I think that's something that we definitely want to keep in most of our learning games. Another thing is, how much do we want to communicate that? Do we want to communicate it as a competition? That's a different question, but just having it there, having it visual that people see how they are doing against each other is a really important part. Another thing that is really key with especially learning games is the feeling of advancement. How this really comes to a reality with our tool is that if you compare to normal e-learning session, you can have let's say a webinar of 45 minutes. You are just watching that video and then you are basically done with it. And we want to get rid of that kind of idea that you are passively sitting there for 45 minutes not doing anything. So if we would have that 45-minute video in Seppo, we would probably cut it to 2 to 3 minute videos where the person is looking at 3-minute video clip, and then they would have an equal amount of minutes thinking about the topic and trying to solve the question related to that. So that there's even part of being the passive viewer and just getting that information into you, and then you have to actually utilize it some way to do your answers in the game. So 2-minute video, 2 minutes of doing multiple choice tasks. Then again, 3-minute video, and then maybe you have to write a bullet point text, 3 bullet points why this thing matters or how you could utilize it in your own work day, and then 5 minutes of reflecting the question and creating your own answer. And it doesn't only always have to be writing something. You can take a pictures of something or record a video or an audio clip. So we can use many ways of activating the participant. So not just in a digital way of clicking something, but also interacting with your immediate surrounding. And this is also the key part of when we discuss where the game is going to be happening. Because if the game happens at your workplace, we can also use that in the game. If you are at a hotel and you are thinking about recycling, one task can be about what kind of recycling options do you have? Because if you are, for example, cleaning the hotel rooms, you might have only one bin in your cart where you have your cleaning equipment. But then what would it need to have multiple recycling bins in that cart, or where would you have to go to be able to actually perform the recycling part? So we can also find these like pain points of the employees regarding the topics if we formulate the questions in a proper way. So it doesn't have to be only about providing or pouring the information to the players, but we can also receive valuable insights from the players if we just set up the questions in that fashion. And I think the third part, which I do like to emphasize with learning games, is learning with feedback. I don't know how much do you play any games in your free time. When we talk about games, I would like to describe them from all the way from playing video games with a PlayStation or computer to playing card games or board games with your family or friends, playing football or any kind of sports with a team, to even watching some reality TV shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because everyone who watches Who Wants to Be is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire TV show familiar to you? Yeah. So when you are watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you are not just passively watching it. You are competing yourself at the same time. When you are sitting at the couch, when the question comes, even before the answer options, you already think about, do I know the answer for this? When the 4 answer options comes, you think about, would I guess this or would I use the lifelines? And which lifeline would I use? So you are at the same time playing it, even though you are not even getting any rewards from it. So the game part is really strong with us. So when I talk about learning with feedback, every game is based on a feedback. When you are playing, let's say, 90s famous video game Super Mario, if you're playing it for the first time, when you drop into the hole in the ground, you don't actually know if there's going to be another world when you drop there, or will you die when you drop there. So if you are playing it for the first time, well, in Super Mario, if you drop there, you will die. But when you die, you get to start again. And you now learned that this is wrong way of playing this game. So you got immediate feedback how to do things differently next time. Same thing when you encounter first of those monsters, those duckling-looking things, or the brown thing is. If you go just run towards them, you will die. But if you jump over it, you now learned that you can fight against these monsters. In the same way, we are doing with learning games, that we are trying to provide the players all the time feedback about what they are doing to enhance their learning and understanding what they can do better, in comparison to, let's say, having some kind of a test. Because what we are learning with tests is that when you are answering, you don't know what goes wrong or what goes right, but you will hear probably in a few days' time, maybe a week's time, if you pass the test, if you got now your credentials or your or got it correct, but you don't then learn why something went wrong. And with learning with games, it's really important not to just tell that something went wrong, but why it went wrong and how you can do better to actually learn from it. So sometimes with learning with games, actually doing things wrong, failing is the best way of learning. Because if you do everything correctly in a game, you didn't really learn anything. You just it got just affirmed to you that you know these things. But when you are failing, you start to learn why you are failing, what are the things you are thinking about incorrectly, and how you should be changing your way of, maybe it's a way of thinking, way of answering, way of doing things. So sometimes failing is the best way of learning, and that's something with games we want to make safe. So when you are failing something, it doesn't mean that you have to stop playing. You get to continue and improve in the next task, in the next levels. So we try to make it safe, something that you are not afraid to try. Because especially with work life, sometimes we are not too much encouraged to try things. It's much easier to play it safe and do things how it have been always done, because then you know that you will survive and you get to keep your job. But if you are trying new things and you are failing, there's always the risk of, how is my boss going to react to this? What's going to happen? So you are not encouraged to try new things and be creative. With games, we want to encourage everyone to try and fail, because that's the best place to learn. I noticed that I am talking a lot here because I have been talking about these things for the past 7 years. Remember, if you have any questions, or if you feel that you want to challenge me with something, feel free to raise your hand or open your mic to voice your concerns or ask any questions. I will send this. Yeah, go ahead.
Santari. I will know collaborative games or task in groups you mentioned in the competition, but I don't know the other kind of game mechanics. Can you see this kind of games, or it's not, because in our company we are strong interest in that kind of group competition? Not do the same game to all the employees, and because they will cheat and copy the answers or something like that.
Yeah, unfortunately with Seppo, we don't have, because I know what you are meaning, that basically would have a game with, let's say, 500 questions, and then it would be a kind of different game every time you're playing it, so you couldn't copy the answers. That's something we don't have at the moment, so the game is same for everyone. But I think when there is no like a prize reward for the game, the interest of cheating becomes less, and then those who are playing it also don't want to give the answers because they are the ones in the higher scoreboard. So to be fair, also I haven't really encountered many these kind of cheating moments with Seppo games, because also a lot of the answers are not just about getting the answer right, but it's also about creativity. So for example, with our strategy and value implementation games, one of the most common task or exercise is to create a poem or a song about your strategy. And then it's not about being right or wrong, it's about being creative. And we have always tied that poem or a song, or there has been also like a task where you have to explain the strategy with children's fairy tale story type. So how would you explain your company strategy to a 5-year-old with Three Little Piglets story? So then it's not about being right or wrong, but it's about being creative. And when those tasks are also tied to an internal competition that 10 best poems or 10 best stories will be published in your internal communication channel and people can vote for the best ones, then it's not about who is the best, who gets the most correct answer. It's also about the creativity part.
Sounds so interesting, because the key for us is the first engagement. To answer why I have to do that.
Yeah, and I think the engagement is the biggest factor why people want to use gamification, because we are just noticing it's not interesting. If you give a person 5 pages of PDF to read, or then a 20-minute game that covers all the same things, people usually tend to choose the game because they know that they are into something more activating. And also, well, I promised to tell you only about 3 mechanics, but I'm going to now talk a little bit about the multisensory experience. One thing we think is really key into delivering the game feeling is not only providing the information with a textual format, but also providing the information with audio, with video. And if we are playing the game in a real life environment, so at the actual location where you are working, we can also incorporate these other multisensory experiences like hearing, touching, even smelling. Smelling is a bit rare one. I have had few games in waste management companies where they are utilizing the smell, but that's a bit specific one. But for example, being in the right location, we have had a sustainable transportation game for city of Helsinki. We done it last year, and we are doing now a second game for that. And one of the tasks there was first go next to a road and calculate the decibels, how actually loud the street is. And then they are downloading some free decibel meter app to their phone, and they are listening that this is actually a really loud environment, that this is not maybe even healthy to be around all the time. But then there's other tasks like go to a certain spot, close your eyes and listen what kind of things you can hear, because sometimes we go past these experiences because they are so normal for us. But when you stop by, close your eyes and really listen what you can hear so many things, and it opens up your experience of what you are having around you. And this is something that we can do with the game as well, if it's played in the specific environments and locations. Now, I'm not going too much into detail with that because we don't know yet if this is a feasible thing with your game, but this is something that can be utilized, and it's really powerful because we are then making the game really an experience. It's not just about learning, but it's having an experiential moment for them, and this is something that they will definitely remember, because that's what we want to do. We want to, if we are trying to teach something, if we are trying to do a training, we want them to also remember the things, not just to have another training on another Thursday. Well, with the game mechanics, the practical things, we will cover them in the next training when we are going through the tool itself, how it works, what kind of features there are, and what you can utilize with these different mechanics. But maybe something about the challenge level, because that is something quite oftenly asked, that how do we make it so that it's not too difficult for our employees, but also not too easy for them. So something, how do we challenge them? How do we pick the right challenge level? And then we come to the pedagogical part. So how do we design the learning content in a manner that it's we are hitting the right sweet spot for their learning? And then we need to do some analysis of what the people are who are participating here. And Bloom's taxonomy is a really good way of looking at how do we want to present the information and the tasks in the game. So in Bloom's taxonomy, there's this kind of a pyramid that resembles the stages of learning. So when we start, we always have to start with the remembering part. So we are introducing the new concepts, the new ideas, new information, and the person needs to have a grasp of the basic things and maybe even remember some of them. After that, we can go to the understanding part, so that person can already, when they hear something, they can explain what it means and how it relates to other topics. After that, we can go to the apply part and then all the way to the create part. And none of these are better than the other. Sometimes people think that we should aim for the top of the pyramid to the create part, but I don't think that's the aim. I think the aim is to understand where our players are regarding this topic and start to go from there to start challenging them a step or two above it. So if we, for example, now know that our players have heard about sustainability, but they don't maybe even know all the facts or understand the basic concepts. So then it means that if we have a game with 10 tasks, the first 3 tasks are circling around the remembering part, understanding and introducing the new concepts. Then we go for the next 3 or 4 tasks that challenge them to understand it. So we maybe give them some problems where they need to find out if this is correct thing or not. So they need to understand the topic. And then the last part would be about applying. So we could have a case problems. So we have here now a situation at the hotel or situation at the building. How would you solve this with the information that you have gained throughout this game? So I think understanding the part that where the people are who we are doing this training for, who we are doing this game for, is a really key factor. And I think this is a good segue to the next part, which is what are we doing, why are we doing it, and who we are doing it for. So maybe, I mean, this is a question for all of you. How do you see at the moment? I know that you have already done some discussions, I think it was in June, about what we are, how we are not limiting, but maybe focusing on certain learning topics. So could you run it through me one more time, what we are doing and why, and especially who we are doing it for?
Okay, yeah. So as you know, in this case, that the game will be not just for a company, but a group of company, our members, a certain, well, there will be around 20 companies from different sectors. So one thing all these companies have in common is that they have this Emas environmental certification or registration. And of course, as they belong to different sectors, we will need to like define questions or tasks that are able to be carried out by the people of the different companies. Okay, so that means that probably we will have questions. One of the aims is let them understand or remember what is Emas, what is having an environmental management system in a company, what makes difference a company that has an environmental management system and those that doesn't have that. Okay, so like trying to understand the tool, and also the fact that the company, all these companies define an environmental policy, which is like the strategy and so on. And usually people don't know anything about the strategy. So it's like maybe like trying to understand, and also because usually it's like an A4 document, which is like directives, and sometimes and we need to find a way how this affects the day by day at the company. So that's one thing. And people will be able to work, and of course we will also try to focus on certain tasks or questions or problems regarding practical aspects, and we will have to, because at the beginning we were discussing that we will focus on waste or water or energy or a single topic, and then we have all these discussions, and we said maybe as for the first game it's better to like touch different topics so that everyone has different, because if you go just to energy and you are not a special or you don't have a special expertise in that, and you may feel that you're out of the game or so. But we can touch different topics so that everyone has the opportunity to say something regarding one thing or the other one. And also because if this first game will be like more general, then this will also help you to understand then managing environmental means managing different topics. So under this Emas umbrella, you can talk about waste, energy, noise, whatever it is. So, and also because this will be like a test for all the companies, and then maybe in the future everyone will find its own way and say, okay, now I will create a game just for my hotel, focus on clean products or whatever is your main topic or your problem or the challenge you have in your company. So that was the idea. And then the players, except of course the sustainability managers or sustainability teams, everyone in the company will be able to participate, or at least this is the idea. So
and when we talk about that that fact that everyone in the company would be able to join, maybe even some companies would be mandatory, maybe for some companies it will be something that they can do, but it's not mandatory. What are the, for example, the workforces? Are we talking about mixed a mixed of blue collar workers and white collar workers, different kind of educational levels, different ages? Is it basically like anything goes?
Yeah, like the Helsinki Transportation Authority. Anyway, I mean, you can find different. I mean, players with different profile. That also will be a challenge for us because we will need to think on the contents in a wise way. But that's the idea.
Yeah, because this is something, especially when I'm thinking about the Bloom's taxonomy, that getting the idea of what kind of level the understanding of the topic is at the moment for the players. Obviously, we can maybe count at this point out the sustainability managers and the sustainability teams because they are really involved with it. But everyone else are probably in a different levels of understanding at the moment. And I don't know about the politics in Spain, but I know in Finland there's also the question not just about do we understand it, but do we believe it? Like the question is this even something that should matter? I don't know how it's in Spain, but yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, Maria and Santeri. For example, in our company, we are 500 people, that 200 are gendarmerie policies, policías, and that police people, I don't know if it's possible in this app, in this platform, to choose in the first part of the platform, choose the level. So in one question, for example, do you know Emas system, or have you even heard of that? And if the answer is not, choose basic level. If yes, maybe a filter of the game.
Yeah, that is possible in Seppo. So we can have this kind of like a branching game where depending what the player answers, they will get a specified path. But also regarding how this whole project will go, I will help you guys to create the game, but you will be the ones creating the game. So when we start to do branches, easy mode, more difficult mode, it means that you will be creating kind of like 2 games that are side by side. So you can create as many branches as you want, but obviously I will also give you some suggestions that how can you manage your workload. I think in this case especially it would be beneficial to do 2 side-by-side parts, which would be the kind of more introductory level and more advanced level. So depending what is your knowledge at the moment. There was this is a funny one. 5 years ago, I had a game with an insurance company, and they want to prepare their employees for future technologies, which one of them was that AI will be coming at some point in the future. This was 5 years ago. And when I was looking at it, it was funny to see that they actually got some things right there, that, but they didn't get the idea that AI will be on everyone's phone and everyone's hands in 5 years' time. But what they had there is kind of they had I think their game was like a hour and a half or something like that. So the first 15 minutes was testing their kind of grasp of basic concepts of technology and how it's progressing. And after that, there was a question that did you get from the previous 5 tasks over 10,000 points or under 10,000 points? And depending what you answered, you went to one direction or the other direction. But you can also have it in a way that asks at the start that how do you feel about your knowledge? Do you want to go to the basic level or do you want to go to the advanced level? And then what you do with these branches is you basically can have the same question. So you are designing only one game, but then you look for all of those tasks that how could I make this one easier or how could I make this one more difficult? And then just relocate them to the different branches. So you are not in a sense making completely 2 different games. It's just the variation of the difficulty. So I think that would be really beneficial here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, talking about these branches, I think it's interesting, but we also need to think how this will affect the awards, because we are going to provide awards. We still have to discuss how many per company or what or so. But of course, then people will be tend to choose the easiest one because then they will have more opportunities to get the award. But this is something we have to discuss. And also maybe we have to think about things that, of course, if we ask people, do you know what Emas is? This is like this is a difficult question in terms of, because we already are using an acronym and it's like sort of technical thing.
Yeah.
But maybe we should start with something like, what do you do in your day by day for the environment, or like another way, or like asking them, have you seen this logo, and show them the logo in your company? Yes. Where? Take a picture and show, like like a treasure hunt or something, like and maybe starting with this, the people will look where they can find this logo, and maybe we can give them a clue in order to understand what Emas is, but they have to investigate something, and then in the third question they provide, and then start to link the dots or something. I don't know. I mean, it was just
yeah, definitely. It's something like this can be the tasks in the game to create the awareness of the Emas, and I think also something is about the like the whole sustainability. Like, why are we doing this? And I found it lately really good way of approaching sustainability is to show it in a perspective that it's something that is necessary for companies and organizations to thrive in the current business ecosystem. Because Well, I'm now talking from the Finnish perspective, but we have not maybe 50-50 divided by, as in probably like US would be, but maybe like 30-70 or 40-60 divide that who believes in the global warming or that sustainability actions are even needed. Is it just some left-wing propaganda to do annoying things to like why are you reducing my meat consumption, or do I need to drive a bicycle to the workplace? These kind of things. So it brings a lot of emotions. So instead of trying to focus on we are saving the planet part, we are more kind of looking at it from the perspective that companies need to adapt to a changing world. Whether you believe into sustainability, the necessity of sustainability or not, EU is posing us with regulations. We need to do things in a certain way. If we want to get funding for different projects, we need to show that we are able to be in the sustainable, show our sustainability actions. If we want to win a lot of clients, if you are competing for clients for projects or B2C, a lot of clients are already showing the meaning of sustainable things, like having, let's say, eco-friendly hotel, or how you are doing eco-friendly work in the port. So that might be already a factor that people who are giving the money are including into the decision making. So now it's not about the not just about your personal opinions, is this something necessary, but it's actually for that company to be able to work in the current business culture. I don't know if this has any, like, does this sound something that is necessary in your case? Do you have this kind of divide between people in Spain? Or
Yeah, I think that we can have also that that issue here, because usually when I train people, there's a lot of people that says, why should I do this or that? Now, why should I segregate or collect waste separately? At the end, everything goes together. Or, there are a lot of barriers in that sense. And yeah, we will need to find a way to switch this into like a positive thing, or a pragmatic way to see. I mean, if we don't do this, we will not exist as a company, or we will have problems too. I mean, or maybe when you were explaining this, I was thinking about, because we usually think this from the work perspective, but as a citizen, I mean, when we are at our workplace and we are asked to do something, we're not always willing to do a certain thing. Yeah. But then when this is something that bothers us or affects us in a personal way, then it's different. Like, for example, if close to my house there's something that bothers me, like there's a lot of cars and they keep the engine on when they're stopped here, or there's noise, then I see it as a problem that affects me. And probably there's a different way of thinking, or it's maybe we will try to link these two spheres. Yeah.
Did you have, David, something? I saw you raise hand earlier.
Yes, I know the key that the employee implicates in the game. So I think a strategy, or it could be the purpose. What do you do if you were the director of the company or the something? What do you do? What do you propose in the issue or the problem of that? And then after that, explain the strategy of the company, or the Emas vision, or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And these kind of role-playing tasks are quite like common in Seppo games that the player has to step into someone else's shoes and think about how they would be making the decision making, because when we are doing that kind of role playing and thinking from other person's perspective, it also opens our own ideas how we could affect that, for example, performance or something like that. One way of also thinking about sustainability and if this calls for changes in our ways of working, which people usually oppose, they don't want to do anything differently. They want to do as they have been doing before because it's easy, is also think about it in a global perspective of that change is an opportunity. We actually have at the moment a game that has the name of the game is sustainability as an opportunity. And the idea at the first two tasks is to look at what kind of companies have made changes that have made them really big players in their market, or if they haven't made changes and they have withered away. So a good example is Netflix. Netflix used to be, I don't know how many of you know the history of Netflix, but Netflix used to be a DVD mailing company in the US. So basically, when you wanted to get a movie, you ordered from Netflix and they mailed that DVD for you. You watched it and then you mailed it back for them. And this was the original Netflix. But at some point, they realized that this is not anymore going to happen in few years. And they started to invest in the possibility of streaming the content. So earlier stages, it was about renting the movies from the internet, and then it became a streaming service where you have the subscription. And we all know the current stage of Netflix. I mean, it's the world leading streaming service, but they started from the same place as Blockbuster or these other companies that rented movies, which are all now out of business. You don't anymore hear about these companies. Then again, another perspective is looking at this feels a bit bad, but looking at Nokia. You probably all remember Nokia from the 90s and early 2000s when they were the mobile phone company. Almost everyone had Nokia at their hands. And what happened with touchscreens and smartphone industry? Nokia tried to do it, but they did it really poorly. They didn't believe that that's the future, and Nokia is no more. But now it's Apples and Androids, and they did it properly, and they are now the key fact. So seeing a change as an opportunity to improve your services, improve your products. Now the sustainability is the next big challenge, and those companies that find ways to do things in a more sustainable fashion that also makes it more increases productivity or profitability, they will be the next big successes. And so this is also an opportunity for many companies, and it's not about your personal opinions, but this is the current business landscape also. I think we have been now talking a lot about this kind of high level things, and I think, well, this is not less high level about the goals of the game, but how do you feel about having a short break, maybe like a 5 minutes or so, or do you need, I don't know how is the culture in Spain, but in Finland we do have maybe to my taste a bit too many breaks, but how do you feel?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
you can grab a coffee.
Yeah, indeed. So maybe be back in 5 minutes and continue with the goals.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. does Zoom have functions for emotes or raising hands or anything?
Yes. It's reactions. If you click the three dots, you will have like, for example,
I don't have any reactions here.
you don't you can expand the bar.
Yeah, with the three
more.
dots.
Yeah.
But I don't
And
have there anything.
You
I
don't
have just,
have it.
yeah. I don't know if it's something about paid version or something, but I only have breakout rooms and hide names of annotators and these kind of computer sound things and such. I'm just wondering, usually I do ask if everyone is around here to raise
Okay.
their hand in Zoom, so I don't need it at the moment, but
Yeah.
if you are here at the moment and could you raise your hand or write something to chat so I know that if we can continue or not. I have worked a lot with people from the Mediterranean areas, and I know that we Finnish people are a bit too punctual sometimes without time. So I don't want to be rude and start immediately after 5 minutes of people are still getting their coffees or having bio breaks.
Let's see. Well, it also depends how far is the coffee from their desk. So
Indeed. Indeed. Well, I don't see any hand raises, so safe to assume that it's only you and me here at the moment.
Till now it seems so.
Yeah. It's been a long time. I have been only once in Spain, and I was like, what was I? Like 11 years old. So it's been a long time since I visited.
Yeah, you have to come back.
Yeah, I should. But I do have really fond memories of it. It's the food is excellent.
Yeah, that's true. And it's very, I mean, it's very diverse because, I mean, with this weather, we have a lot of vegetables and fruits that you don't have. So, yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, I think the most things that I would be looking for is the sun and the warm. I don't even want to know what the temperature is at the moment in Spain because it would just make me feel bad probably.
But today it's rainy here. So it's So temperature is warmer than you, but it's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is also complicated when you have to work, for example, in August, we have like 30 plus degrees and so on. So it's, I mean.
Yeah, I actually do have a Mediterranean weather simulator at home because my home office is on the second floor and I don't have a proper AC. So in the summertime, it gets like plus 30, 35 something because all the heat is packing there. So
yeah, but then the brain doesn't work properly.
It doesn't.
Really.
It surely doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems that Nuria was back.
Yes.
You're back, John Luis? Okay. Okay, and then I think David will.
Hey, David.
Yeah, will turn on the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can wait for a few minutes and then continue. Do I remember right, Maria, that you already had with this team discussions about the next part we will have about the game session discussions? Do I remember right that you had already some of these discussions?
What we did is we set the date for the next workshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we will have all the, because I remember that there was some discussions, but
yeah,
it's already also my summer holidays did their work and erased all the memories from the before the holiday time. Okay, so we can see David is
yeah, David is here.
Yeah, probably with the phone camera again because it's pointing to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, one more.
Yeah, no problem. It's always funny to me how these services know to connect to these interesting points that somehow they pick up I don't know if it's your phone camera or not, but I know that sometimes for me it automatically picks up the phone camera and that's an interesting angle. Yes. So next discussion would be about the goals of the game. So the learning goals. These are not visible in a like in that sense in the game that we would write these into any specific point there, but these are more like a guiding posts for us when we are creating the game, so that we are all in the same idea of what we are trying to achieve. And with Seppo, we usually like to divide the goals into 3 different categories. That we would have a knowledge goal that basically is the information with what we want to deliver with the game. So what new things we want that the players will know after they have played the game. That is usually the easiest one to come up with because we are looking at it from a normal um, uh, training, learning point of view. This is something we do at the first. So what do we want to teach with the game? But then the next one is behavior or action. And that can be looked from 2 different angles. First of all, the angle can be that we want to set a goal how the moment when they are playing the game looks like. So do we want to have the action be something that they are moving a lot in the game and experiencing their workplace throughout the game, so maybe involves a movement around the office premise or the port area or the hotel or whatever, wherever you are working. So that could be one of our behavior or action goals. The other way of looking at it is that what kind of things we want to bring into the change of their attitudes or ways of thinking about it. So maybe, let's say, easy example is with the recycling. So behavioral change or actionable change could be that we see an increase that when people after the game start to do, when they are drinking their coffee from the a single time use cup, they start to think about where do I put this cup. So the action or the change of behavior is something that goes off, starts to happen after the game and not so much during the game, but we are kind of affecting it. So having case things and motivating the players to think about it differently and have a change in their thinking and their behavior. So we can look at from the game moment. So what does the playing look like from the action standpoint, or we can look at from the behavior, that what kind of things we want to have happening in the change in the players' attitudes and ways of working. So it's something that we can choose, so one or the other. Then the third one is emotion, which is usually not maybe a part of when you are designing a e-learning session or a training session. Emotion can be looked again from a few different perspectives. One is employer branding. So do we want to showcase to the employees who will be the players that we value them? And this is why we are doing something really different this time. We are not just having our basic Teams session or Zoom session where we are having a lecture about the topics, but instead we invested and want to make you some kind of interesting experience, and we are doing a game. So that could be one way of doing the emotional part, so affecting the image of the employer. One thing could be about the play situation. So we want to spark emotions during the playing time. Maybe we know that there has been difficult times in the workplace, and we want to bring some fun into the work, something that they could enjoy, something that we know that they deserve a break. So we want to have them something interesting and joyful to experience. That could be one emotional objective for us. The third is regarding the emotions is that if we know that there are a lot of resistance to the topic itself, we try to change that emotion, that we want to have them have kind of ownership in this matter, that this thing matters for them, to create that kind of emotion. So depending on your needs, and I know that since you come from different companies, you might have different needs here, and this is why it's crucial today to have this discussion, that what do you all think? What do we set? Because we cannot have everyone's goals in one game. We need to set some kind of common goals that we are all working together. So that's why we will be having the next activity with this. Before we go to the activity part, do you have any questions about the definitions? What do we mean with the goals of the game? 3 different categories, all have different maybe aspects. Okay, all seems to be
For me, it's clear. Yeah.
Yes. So now what we will do, yeah. Is someone having a mic open?
Yeah, I think it was John.
No, it's clear, it's easy, it's perfect.
Okay, good. So then what we will do is, I'm gonna, how do I exit this mode? Okay. Let's pick from here the website, and I'm gonna put it to chat. So I would want all of you to go to that link that I posted in the chat, and I probably need to stop sharing first and then go to the website myself so we can work from there. Zoom, another share. All right. So this is, let's see, done. Good. So this is a post-it note tool where you can all post your own post-it notes, that what you would wish to have as objective for these different 3 categories. So knowledge, action/behavior, and the emotion. And how do you operate this tool is, first of all, you go to the web page that I posted to the chat, and you don't need to log in, create any credentials. This is really easy to use and simple in that sense. What do? If you want to have a post-it note about the knowledge part, first of all, you go to the top side of the web page and choose your color. All the knowledge ones should be on green, or the action behavior with blue, and emotions with yellow. So when I choose the green one, the square as a form is what we want to have, and then we write the message. So first of all, I could have here what Emas means. And once I have my post-it note written, I can either hit enter from my keyboard or then click the send button. And then it comes to the screen. And what I can do is grab with my mouse and drop it to the location where I want it. So all the knowledge post-it notes should be somewhere around the knowledge part. Same with the action behavior and same with the emotion. And every time you want to create a new one, you just go to the top bar, change the color to match the one you want to have it in, write the message. Now, this tool is interesting in a sense that these are not individual post-it notes. So everyone can also edit someone else's post-it note. So please be careful when you highlight any of this, because if you highlight and then start changing the text, you might actually write over someone else's post-it note. So be careful that you don't have any of the currently created post-it notes active before you start writing a new one. But if you do create, for example, you choose the wrong color or you have a typo in your note, then you can highlight it and change it again in the top bar. I'm going to give you soon about 10 minutes to write, and I would hope that you all create. There's no number how many you can create. You can create as many as you want. If you see someone creating a really good post-it note and you would like to support that, just create that same thing again, or with a little bit different words again, because there is no +1 system in this tool. So create the same post-it note again, so then I know that this one is getting more support than the others. So that when we start to prioritize them and theme them, we know what to choose for our goals for the game. Are the instructions clear, or do you have any questions?
David has some.
No,
yeah,
just
only for Maria. The general topic is for Emas. We have not to specify the knowledge, actions, and emotions for our company, only for the first platform that englobes Emas.
Yeah, we are going to define the goals for this game that will be for all the Emas companies that members of the Emas club. Okay, but of course we can add also actions, but they're not just for your company, not for the Port Authority or for the hotel, but something that can be useful for all the members of the Emas club.
Clear.
But I also think that, David, for example, if you have a specific need with the that you would want to some certain topic to have a high visibility in the game, you could have that post-it note in the knowledge part. And if others do write the same thing, then you are winning because you got your idea through. But unfortunately, if no one else picks it up and everyone posts different topics, then we probably have to do some prioritization. But I do definitely think that posting more post-it notes is a good thing to basically advocate for your needs, because we all know we have to do compromises because this will be for all the companies. But that doesn't mean that you have to now think only about all the companies. You can also think about your own specific needs and write them here. But it's a different thing. Will that be prioritized or not? I'm going to delete my what Emas means because that was just an example. So now
but you
we'll
can
give
leave
you
it actually because
then you can,
this is one of the needs we have, because usually people doesn't know what Emas means, and so it's
okay. I wrote it again there, so I have also my contribution, but I'm not going to be putting my own priorities there anymore because this will be your game. So now about 10 minutes.
Sorry, because I was out for 5 minutes and I'm lost. There are 3 types of colors, and we have to put the goals from each one, but I don't know how to do with the emotion color. So what type of goals we can write here?
Yes. Okay. A quick quick recap of the emotion part. So emotion can be looked from 3 different perspectives. One can be about employer branding. So, for example, we want to spark emotions that employees feel that they have been now invested into, because we have, instead of having 45-minute boring Teams session or Zoom session where people are just passive participators, instead we create this game. So it's something activating, something that's different from normal training. So that could be one kind of emotional goal to increase the employer brand. One thing could be, one perspective to look at the emotion could be about the game situation itself. So if we know that, let's say, the company has had rough times and people need some joy in their life, so we could set our goal that we want to have a game that is joyful, something that is fun to do and interesting to do. So that is our goal, because we know that they need a little break from traditional routine.
Okay,
And the third perspective for emotion can be something about the topic, attitudes toward the topic. So if we know that people don't care about sustainability or these actions, we try to tackle that to create ownership and the will and the motivation for it, so that people actually want to do this. So these, for example, that emotion goal can be looked from different perspectives. And now it's the question of, what do you want to do? What do you feel is the most important objective or goal?
Okay.
And you can put more than one here, because afterwards we will be doing some grouping up and seeing what kind of things get more interest than others. So ideally, we are now, what we have here, if we minus myself, we have like 5 people here. So I would like to see more than 5 post-it notes per top goal. So just go ham with the post-it notes, create as many as you want, and then we will see what things get more traction. But now I give you some time to ponder. And if you, for example, have feel that it's difficult to write your idea in English, you can also write it in Spanish, and then you can just translate it to me. But it's a bit easier for me if they are in English at this point. And I hope that everyone can see the link in the chat. There has been more of these cutouts. I'm gonna post it one more time so you know where to find it.
So you said that we can add like 2 post-its from the with the same topic in order to
increase
them,
the increase. For example, now with the knowledge, I see what Emas means, and do your stakeholders know what Emas means? So these two I will already put next to each other, so I know that this is something that gets more traction. I think the 10 minutes is soon up. If you have still something you want to do, one last post-it note, feel free to put it there. And then we start to go through. Now, when I'm looking at the knowledge part and the goal for the knowledge, I see that what Emas means, do your stakeholders know what Emas means, is getting visibility here, and I guess more in also in the same vein, that what does it mean having an environmental policy and strategy. Now when I'm looking at these three, because they are getting the most of the same post notes, this is getting the kind of higher priority. When I'm looking at all the other post-it notes, there's a big gap, I think, between these three on the top and all the rest on the bottom. If I'm looking at it from like a knowledge level, what Emas means and what does it mean having a policy or strategy, they are really high level. Then it comes to the and when we go to the what carbon footprint means, that's I think in the middle, kind of like the it's not about what it means to have a policy strategy. It's about what does the one of the key concepts of sustainability. So that's the next level of it. And then we go to maybe the understanding of the relationship between environmental aspect and impact. That's on the same kind of stage. And then we go to the topics about hazardous waste, about chemical management. And this is really like individual topics in this whole scheme. So what I'm looking at here is we are looking from the knowledge level, more high level game that covers the concepts. And I think our goal should be somewhere around these 5 things. That's what it means. And when we talk about what environmental policy or management means, it also means something about more the practicalities, like what do we do with the carbon footprint and understanding the relationship. So it's somewhere around here what we know. But I'm wondering, let's say, especially with the blue collar workers, how much does it mean that they know that why is it important that we have this strategy or policy, and how do I formulate this question? Which one is more important, understanding why we have this strategy or understanding the sustainability in general? Like how well do the employees already understand the sustainability as a topic in general? Because to understand why is it important to have this certificate, to have the strategy or the policies, you also need to have the understanding what this whole topic even means. I don't know if you catch my idea here. So what do you feel that on what level are the employees in general? Can they comprehend the idea? Why is it important to have it? Because to understand why to have it, you also need to understand what the sustainability in general means. Any thoughts?
Yeah, maybe in some companies, one of the goals could be also to understand what sustainability is, or at least environmental sustainability, because we're not here talking about the social part and so on, but at least, yeah.
How do others feel?
In our case, 20% of people understand carbon footprint. Carbon footprint means environmental aspects. There are interest or some general knowledge about that. But Emas, it's only 5% because it's a lot of specific concept and policy strategy I think it's a little bit some specific way to explain the 10 rules or the 10 mandatory rules of Emas.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm right that you are saying, Jolie. But I think that one of the goals it will be that the employees know that why we have an EMAS and what is the result that we have an EMAS compared with other companies that not have an EMAS system. So I think that in my hotel it is so that the people know that we do something to the environment, but not all the people knows that we have an EMAS and what is the means that we have an EMAS system. So I think that I want that they know that about it, and so they can presume that we have this certificate.
Yeah. So because why I'm kind of questioning or also a little bit challenging here is because when I'm looking at the knowledge behavioral part, there are a lot of these aspects about what can you do as an individual in your labor day, in your work day, what can you do to protect, what can you the planet, what can you do to impact the environment. And I think to be able to affect the behavior that people would do things more in greener way, in a more sustainable way, they also have to have understanding of the basic concepts of sustainability. And to be able to understand why EMAS matters is also, you need to have also the basic concept understanding what things matter with the sustainability. That we are not doing it just for in general, like greener future, but what actually contributes that. So in that sense, I think like the carbon footprint is a really good way of saying that when you reduce the carbon footprint, we are doing less actions that produce CO2 gases. And why we are doing this in a kind of controlled manner, or how we do this in controlled manner, is when we are start to talk about the EMAS, that we have a plan, we have a strategy, we have a policies, and we have the certificates that make it so. So I think we kind of have to dance a little bit with the whole, because if let's say in David's port, 30% know what carbon footprint means. So the 70% do not even know, understand what carbon footprint means. If you don't understand what carbon footprint means, does the knowledge that we have an EMAS mean anything for them? Like, is there a, like, I'm not trying to criticize or anything, I'm just trying to think about that. Is there a value in knowing that the company has policies if they don't even understand what the policies mean?
Yeah, I think that's true. Like we should let them understand what environmental impact is, or the environmental sustainability means, so that they understand that the companies have adopted EMAS and a strategy. And of course, this then is translated into something operational actions that are day by day, the things that they can do, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
And that I think one aspect that is important is that, because having EMAS or not makes also the difference, because not everyone gets EMAS. I mean, it's a hard work to get there, and you just don't define a policy, but you have to demonstrate that with results and data that is validated that you have improved, and you have to comply with legislation and do a lot of things, and finally you get this EMAS registration. And the difference between having or not Emas registration is also because there are a lot of companies that try to do something good for the environment, and they do things here and there, but they don't finally go anywhere, and they don't measure the impact and the result. In Emas, you have to measure all of this, and you are audited and so on. So it's very it's a huge effort.
Okay,
And then finally you get Emas, and there are just like 4,000 companies in Europe that have Emas. So it's like the premium league, let's say. It's not, you know, and this is something we have never explained. This is also true. So
okay.
Yeah.
This now also kind of gives me more insight into the importance, because when we emphasize in the game the idea, the background, why it's important that you have the Emas, why you are in the Premier League, then it also gives the reasoning for us to advocate for the players that this is something that we have reached it, but it's not something we will have for the rest of our lives or the rest of the years, but we actually have to keep on working to keep it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the result is also thanks to the effort of everybody in the company. Otherwise, you don't get there. I mean, and that's why involving people is important.
Yeah.
So that's maybe this also touches the emotional part, because we can also say that one message is we got here also because of you. You know, it's otherwise the company will not being proud, because it's also part of their efforts. And
so if we wrap up this knowledge part, I think we can have the what Emas means and how it relates with everyone's sustainability work. That's basically the core in the knowledge part what we want to achieve. David, go ahead.
Santeri, I think it could be an indirect question. Do you know that your company is on the top 50 in Europe because they have Emas, or different multiple choice options or something? I know that you dominate this kind of questions. There are different ways to ask some information. So this question that is so complicated, let's say, in a different way that the others of more general carbon footprint or something general to involve the player.
Definitely. And I think kind of having this with different kind of ways of presenting the questions, we can also deliver the emotions that when you get to actually see that your company is in the, I think it was well said from Mareta, the Premier League, that you are you have achieved something that few have achieved in EU. So this is something to be proud of and feel that you also, because you have achieved something, you have to also keep working on doing it. And I think now when the knowledge part is circulating around the information, what it means to have Emas, then it can also mean we can introduce Emas by also teaching about some of the basic concepts, like what have you done with the carbon footprint to get to this stage, and this kind of topics. But I also assume that the basic level of understanding might be a bit higher in your companies compared to the general level, because the companies that are involved with this project have already achieved a higher level compared to others. But still delivering the message and reinforcing it throughout the game is important. I'll write some kind of a message about this in the PowerPoint before I send it back to you. So we have a goal, and then you can maybe say if it's good or challenge me if it needs to be changed. But we could now move on to the knowledge and behavior part. There were a lot of good things here, but I think the biggest part that got the most traction was the individual perspective. So what can each and everyone do to have an impact? What can they do to do better? And I think this is something that is the main part of the knowledge behavior action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I think it's interesting because another goal of for the game was to use it as a way to collect feedback and ideas in order to improve. Because of course we cannot like, for example, develop the game in a specific workplace, because different companies will be working on playing, so the workplaces are different. But if we ask people what can be improved in their workplace, and they can upload pictures or something, or videos or whatever, then the companies can use this to see, okay, we have a problem because we don't have enough waste containers, or we don't have a container for this or that, or we are too noisy, or whatever. And it's also a source in order to collect inputs. And this is something very important for Emas itself. I mean, Emas says that you have to involve people and listen to their suggestions and proposals, and then do something with this. So this could be instead of filling in, like the suggestion templates and so on, this can be done in a more fun way, because they can do it with different tools.
Yeah, exactly. I think also this is something that when when the game makes the players to think about their own everyday work life, when they give examples what they can do to impact the environment, to make an impact in their work. This is also not just to make the players to think about it, but also for us to collect the ideas. And this is also a place where individual companies can learn about the opportunities and difficulties regarding their own workplace, but I can also see what other workplaces have as problems, and maybe find also solutions by working together to make each and everyone's workplace a better place and have a bigger impact. I think this is the really clear cut with the knowledge behavior part. So I will have that written as the knowledge target, and then we go for the emotion part. And I think here really was the biggest kind of cluster of the ideas was the having a feeling of belonging to this theme, so that everyone has a feel that they want to take part of it, but also I did a quick Google Translate of this. So idea that people feel that they are being heard, and that they can also voice their own ideas. This was the idea, the being heard, wasn't it that?
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, and the sense of belonging.
Yes. So I think this is something that really, I think the emotional target or goal really resonates well with the knowledge behavior target that we have, so that people tell what they can do. And if we also voice it in the game that these ideas, these propositions that they give will be collected and worked with, it will also play well with this, that people will feel that they have been heard. But also with the having people as one of our goals, that people feel that they are being listened to, that they can voice their ideas. This also means responsibility for every one of you, because when the players contribute to the game, they give their answers, their thoughts, their opinions, their suggestions. You guys need to pick those suggestions up and show that they have been heard. This is something that we do with many companies, that we design tasks that where we ask opinions or thoughts, and then we do some kind of communication actions with those. So there was one company that had a task that give your one sentence idea how you could do better with this value in your everyday work life. And then we it's hard to translate it to English, but we basically made these Value Fridays, where there were these messages coming from the from the workers to the communication channels, that what would be the valuable things that you can do in your everyday work. So we actually picked the answers from the game, from every player, and started to post those in the internal communication channels. So kind of show that these have been actually heard. There was also one game where the employees were able to ask difficult questions, because sometimes people don't, they feel that if you ask a difficult question, the management just deflects it and don't want to answer them. So now we made it so that people were able to ask these questions, and later on every month they had this small podcast where the manager of the specific topic was taking into these questions. There was kind of this interviewer who was asking the questions that were asked in the game, and that person actually had to answer them. Some answers were not easy to answer, but it kind of gave them possibility to show that they are really difficult things to even for the managers to give clear-cut answers. But it's the communication actions, how we show that people have been listened to. And also with the game, if you have any examples where company has taken an action on the and the kind of the spark came from an employee. So if you can say that one employee found out that we never had recycling bins close to our workplace, and that message got through to the management, and then they made it happen, and it improved the numbers with the recycling. If we can show that before this already employees have been heard, it is a really strong message that you should definitely voice your ideas. Yeah, someone made a good post-it note here.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's a key point also under Emas, because if you ask people to provide ideas and then you don't provide any answer, or you don't explain, I mean, sometimes there are ideas that are not viable, so but
Yeah.
at least you have to say it's not viable for this or for that, thank you anyway.
Yeah.
And this is something, yeah. And I was thinking that perhaps we have to parallel to the game, we can create like a template for the company, so that then they can collect all the ideas and say, okay, thank you for all these ideas. And as I think David wrote, the sustainability manager or the sustainability committee will study them and analyze them and assess if it, or something. Yeah, something. Okay.
Yeah. And this is also something that then, if we promise in the game, should happen afterwards with the game player generated content. And I think that's when we can promise that for the players, then they also and can deliver that promise, then they also feel more about that that they have been heard, and that delivers the feeling. All right, I will write these all three goals to the PowerPoint slide later on, and I will deliver it to you afterwards. But now what we could do is switch back to the presentation that I had or have, and then go for the next topic. We had about an hour ago our break. Does anyone need now a small break, or do we power through and end 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier?
Maybe early, rather.
Yeah, I think it's fine also for me.
Then we go for the planning. So how and when, possibilities, restrictions. So now we are talking about really concrete things. What will the game moment, when they are playing the game, what will it look like? There are these factors are the biggest things that have an impact on what the game will and should look like. So let's go them one by one. And also one that isn't actually mentioned here is, since this is a game that is created for all the companies taking participation, one of the questions is, do we create one common game where all the employees of all of these companies will join, or will we create one game that will be copied 20 times, so each company has their own game version? It can have all the content be same as with the other ones. I think the big difference here is that, do you want to see what are the numbers in your own company and kind of have the competition happen within your own company, or do you want to have it this as a more larger scale Emas game where all the company employees will be competing against each other? How do you feel?
This is something we discussed with Rico in the past. And I think that the idea was to replicate the game, because this way each company can access to the information and the results of its own employees, and also collect like the feedback, the answers and everything, and also like all the statistics and so on. And then of course we will have like an internal competition for each company, but also there will be another competition from the group of companies participating. But of course, the results will be better to have it separately. Otherwise, if I don't know, an employee of a company says, okay, in my workplace there's no waste container, so on. We don't know who will. I mean, it's like you have to collect all the information and separate it. This way, each company has its own data and information, and it seems that it's easier to manage.
Yeah, I do agree that the benefit of having the large scale scoreboard is not as valuable as having each company have the data from their own employees received. So it makes a lot less hassle if we have 20 copies of the same game and each company runs their own game. So I think that also gives opportunity, that if there is a question in the game that, do you know our company sustainability strategy, then what we can do is that in the master game that will be copied 20 times, we don't actually give the learning content there, but then each company can create their post their own company sustainability strategy in that task point. So it can be a little bit more individualized at some points. I wouldn't do it with all the tasks in the game, because then it will make a lot of work for every individual. But this is something that we can leave the option for, that those companies that want to have it more specified for their own company, they could do that. I don't know if this sounds something that you want to do, or do you want to make it a bit easy and have exactly the same game for everyone?
I mean, the idea was to start with the same game, but if this configuration allows a bit customization, it could be nice. Not everything, because otherwise, as you said, is a huge workload. But if we get to a certain point that there are, I don't know, 1 or 2 questions that really need to be customized, then we have this level of freedom.
Yeah, and what we can also do is at the start create the game so that it's playable for everyone, but then point out that there are these 2 tasks that if you want to have more tailored for your own needs, then it could be done if you want, but there's no need for it to run the game. So, but we can go to that aspect in the next workshop. And now when I know the basic setup, it's also easy to talk about the next parts here. So remotely or on-site, what this means is it's not, when we talk about on-site, it doesn't have to mean that all the players would have to be in the same location at the same time when they are playing. It's more about do we create the game to happen in a specific location? So let's say at the office, because if it's at the office, most of the offices have the same things. There are some meeting rooms, open work areas. There are coffee rooms or break rooms and these kind of things. So if we are doing it on site, then we know that there are some certain common things that we can take into consideration with the game. But if we already know at this point that the players will be working in a completely different surroundings, then we have to design the game with a mindset that it's a remote game. So you can play it in anywhere. You can play it when you are commuting back to home from work. You can do it at the port if you want to look at the sea while you are doing it and feel the fresh air. You can do it there, or if you are at the hotel, you can do it there. So basically anywhere. Then it's not tied to any specific place or time, but this is just the way how we have to decide the game is going. I was looking at your faces and you were nodding when I was talking about the remote. So is that the decision we will have with our game?
From my point of view, I think that is the one that better matches the needs, because as you said, every company will be, I mean, it's different. And this also allows the company, I mean, the people could play during their working day or even later and so on. So that gives more flexibility. And anyway, if we ask a task like take a picture of this or that or show us something, maybe that task could be done, I mean, because they will be able to play for some days. I mean, each company will open the game, let's say, and give like, I don't know, a week or something to play, and then so this will allow them that sooner or later when they come back to their workplace they can make make pictures or videos or whatever. I don't know, what do you think, the others?
Sorry, I didn't understand you, Maria. You are proposing on-site game.
No, I was proposing remote, because in this case it's more flexible and people can work if they have a break during their working day, they can do it, or when they are coming back in the train to coming back home, or I mean, this allows them to play like when you do Duolingo, that you have this exercise that are like just few minutes and you can choose when you want to do them, and while you wait for the bus or you know, it's
I can already say now for the from the perspective of Seppo games, I do say that it's usually better if the game is played in a one go, because logging into the game and doing the tasks usually requires to be in certain kind of mindset. And when with Duolingo, it can be really just a 1 minute you are doing it, because the access is so easy and quick when you do it with the app. but with the Seppo, it usually takes a minute or two to set it up when you start to do it. So it's usually better to do it at one go, at maximum with 2 goes. But like the play time is usually at least like 15 minutes, because otherwise it's we will see better participation numbers if it's played in one go or at the maximum with two play times. And also with what you earlier mentioned about having tasks to take a picture at your workplace, if these kind of tasks are in the game, then we kind of have to also advocate for the players to be playing this in the office setting. I do also think that something to be mindful here is, unless the rewards are so really, really good, players will probably want to play it in their work time. So that should be taken into consideration, that if you want the participation numbers to be delight for your eye, then you probably want to schedule some time for your employees to play the game, because it is a company training after all. So they might not want to do it in their free time. Then one other question is, team game or a single player game? Or did you, David, have something with the earlier one?
Yes, only comment. Remote, I think, is the best option. I don't know if there's a possible of profiles, for example, not only for employees. In the case of a hotel, the host can scan a QR or something like that to enter the app or the platform, register, and maybe know or indicate in the app.
Yeah. Technically, yes, it is a possibility to create a game that could be for the clientele also able to scan a QR code and play the game and get to understand that this location where I am, the company has the Emas. But if I remember right, with the agreement that we have, this is limited to only the employees of the companies participating, and not the like the public side. But in the future, if you find this way of teaching people things or educating a really like a valuable tool, then it can be also made in a manner that it's targeted for the public. So when you are in a hotel coming there, you can scan the QR code and play a short game about what it means, that what kind of environmental things have been done here to make a greener future. Or if you are in a port and waiting for something, you could have a go on it. But that would require then a different kind of contract between Seppo and you guys.
Yes, there are several ISOs that requires make encuestas. How do you say?
Surveys.
Surveys to people if they know something, some aspects, some. I think this platform could be interesting for that, to mix surveys and the gamification.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
afterwards, after that pilot or project.
Yeah,
definitely. Then the next question is, team or a single player game? So when you are envisioning this game, is it going to be played by individuals or a small teams, like 3 to 4, 3 to 5 people? Maybe before. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Maybe small teams.
Yeah.
We have people who from home, so maybe it's interesting.
When we think about this teams or a single player game, the positive sides for a single player game is that it's more accessible. It means then that the person who is playing it can play it whenever they want. It's not up to anyone other's schedule or timetable. It does limit a little bit with the creativity though, because the creativity is something when you are asked to do a poem or a children's story about certain topic, people individually are not as well, in a working life, people individually are not as creative than compared to when they are working as a small team, because there's the questions of, I am not a creative person. I'm not gonna do any song or a poem here or story. There's a shame on it that I don't feel I am good enough to do it. When you are working in a small team, that shame is shared with everyone, and then it's kind of taken outside of you, that it's not me who is possibly failing this, but it's our team, and then it's accepted that that is something that we can do. So if you want some kind of creativity happening, I usually do advocate for teams. Now, also one thing to take into consideration is the participation numbers. I don't know how do you plan to run the game in the companies, but if the game is not mandatory, so if it's not something that employees have to play and it's up to their own willingness, then usually single player games get less participation numbers compared to team games, because team games require facilitation. So team games require that there will be training sessions booked to calendars when the game will be played, and the people will be divided to small teams. So teams have usually higher participation, games can be more creative, and also the discussions between the employees are more fruitful when you are doing in teams. But the downside is that you actually need to then arrange a training moment, take off the time to actually have the game happening for the employees. So when you ponder these pros and cons, how do you feel? Which one is the more suitable for your needs? Yeah, go ahead.
In our case, we did a contest of the best practice or best ideas of sustainability and innovation, and in the 3 editions, the group teams won. So I think it's clear that teams are more creative, more less shame to do some tasks. And if the tasks are make photos or write something, could be better. I don't know if it's a possibility of do the both, but we have to choose.
If it is technically you can do both, so you can have the game run in the team mode and in the single player mode. So there's the actual way of logging into the game as a team will still happen through one device. So they will be logging in the same way as they would be as a single player. But the main concern is the design of the game. If the game is designed for team playing, then it might feel off-putting or for single player game in certain things. Like what you mentioned and what I mentioned earlier, that if we ask the teams to write something that maybe asks more creativity, or if we step away from the creativity and just team games can have more questions that makes the players to have conversations and reflections. And as a team game, it can stand longer time because you are not the only one doing the thinking. But if you are playing that team game as an individual, and almost every task asks you to think about it and reflect on your own opinions, it can get a bit boring after a certain while. So then the team go ahead.
The reflections and the feedback, it would be better and so constructive with teams then.
Yeah. How about others? So David is more leaning on the team side, if I understood correctly, but how about you others? This is also not just a question of which one is better, but it's also about feasibility. Is it actually doable? Can you get the trainings for this to reserve from the calendar and have a time for training.
For us, it's better teams too, because I told you some of employers working from home 2 or 3 days a week. So it's a way to be together again, no? And club together and live together and be more creative, be more better experience. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I agree. I think it's better on teams, but I don't know if it will be easier to organize the play in a team way than in a single play. I don't know. How will we do this?
Well, if we take the consideration of participation numbers off from the discussion, then single player game to arrange is a lot easier, because you give the QR code or the PIN code in your normal communication fashion for the people, and then you hope that the people join into the game. If we take the participation expectations from the discussion, then organizing single player game is just a question of communication, that you will post the logging information for the players. With the team aspect, you actually have to arrange a certain time slots for the employees to play the game. So you don't have to have all the employees at the same time. So let's say you have 500 employees, maybe during 2 weeks time, you have it so that every day there is a group of 20 people, or a certain team or a function playing the game. But they have to arrange that time to play the game together, and that time is off from their normal work. So if it's a production line, it's off from the production. If it's hotel workers, if they are cooks, the kitchen workers, they are not preparing the food when they are playing the game. So this is the question of feasibility, that team game is more effective, but you just when we decide this, you have to kind of also then calculate it, that are you able to gonna get the green light if you have to get the accept for this from someone else.
Okay.
But from this discussion, go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, I think maybe we can take into account this and discuss it with the others, and then for the next meeting decide and see also if all the companies will be able to organize their teams and so on. I mean, this operative and logistic part, the companies have to, well, they will need to take into account that they will need time to organize it and manage it internally, because this is not something that we as Emas Club can do for them, but they have to organize their own teams and see how many people is willing to participate and how many. In any case, I wanted to ask you, the idea is, if it's in teams, the maximum member of the teams should be like 3, 4, or
I think the most functioning teams are between 3 and 4 people, but obviously from it can be also 5. I wouldn't have more than 5 in one team, because when it's a question, when there's a task that requires a conversation between the team members, if there's more than 5, not everyone will get the chance to voice their ideas. So usually the most functioning teams are 3 to 4 people. But that doesn't mean that at the same time there can be multiple teams playing the game. So it's not reserved time that when that 3 people are playing the game, no one else could play at the same time. So when we had, for example, the Metso, the global mining company, play the game, they had 2,000 players playing from different continents, and they played the game in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and they just, every function had their own kind of managers run the game for their team. So one manager ran for their team of 40 people the game, and then the 40 people divided to small teams where they played it. So it can happen at any time, but it just from the pedagogical standpoint, it's better that the teams are between 3 to 4, maximum 5.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Looking at the time, it seems like when at the start when I said that some first workshops go 2 hours, some workshops go 3 hours. I'm looking at that we are the 3-hour group, which I think always positive that there's a lot to be discussed. Then is the question of feedback in the game, and this is the most trickiest one. So by default in Seppo, when we talk about multiple choice tasks, when we talk about matching pairs type of tasks, those will have automated feedback. So when you choose something from the multiple choice, the game will tell you how many points you got, if the answer was correct or incorrect, and maybe some feedback why it was correct or why it was incorrect. That's simple. That's always in there. But why is this a discussion point is regarding the creative tasks. So Seppo has 5 different exercise type, and one of them is creative task. Creative task doesn't always mean that it has to be creative in a poem, song, story type of thing. It's basically open-ended question. So the player can answer with text, with image, with video, with audio recording, and it can be what is your what do you think is the most environmentally impactful thing you do during your weekly basis? And when player answers something with text, it has nothing with creativity, but it's an open-ended question. But we at Seppo name it as creative task. So with creative task, the feedback for the players is either automated or manual. Now, with the automation, all the players who answer that question will get the same amount of points and same feedback. Unfortunately, thus far, Seppo doesn't have any AI or machine learning behind there so that it could look at the answer content and give different kind of feedbacks or points depending what kind of answer it will receive. So it's only if the players send the answer, they will get the same points and feedbacks as anyone else. Now on the other side is the manual feedback. What manual feedback means is that there would be some person looking at the game when the game is going to be played, and when the players send the answers, they will give manual feedback for them. So look at the answers. Now, since we have been now discussing about the team game here, the manual feedback is actually a possibility because the team game usually happens in a specific time, and that is usually done by maybe a team's time schedule. So there will be a team manager or someone gathering the people either physically or online to the same session and running the game. So then that manager could log in with this special grading instructor login details to that game and actually give feedback for the players. From before I give you the floor to give your opinion, I'm just going to say last thing that giving feedback in Seppo game is not difficult. We have done it with companies giving about 5 PowerPoint slide instructions how to log in and how to give the feedback. So it's not technically difficult, but it does require someone to do it, and again the resource question. So now it's up to you. How do you feel? Do you want to have the live feedback that does empower gamification and the feeling of the one of the goals that you have, the feeling of that I'm being heard, it will be bolstered with the possibility that there is someone giving the feedback. Obviously, there's no one 24/7 giving the feedback, so you would have these specific time slots. But yeah, how do you feel about this? And don't be afraid to say no, because I do know that you are 20 companies doing it. So, and obviously every company would need their own person to give the feedback. So, yeah.
So this person has to give a feedback and also the points And so the evaluation of this answer.
Yes, these creative answers, that person would give the points and would also give the feedback.
I think it's difficult for one person to be the jury of all the answers from the company. I don't know.
I wouldn't think in my mind that it would be one person per one company. I think it would be more like, let's say you have that 500 people working, you probably have like 40 managers there, that all the managers would run the game for their own team. So you would have the managers to give the points and the feedback for their own team. Obviously, it will skew the point system. So there can be favoritism and these kind of things, but I haven't really encountered them before. But yeah.
I will compromise to do manually feedback and give the points. And with automatic message that said in 48 hours you have the points, something like that. More gamification response. In a less time, do you have the response and the points? Be patient. I don't know.
Yeah, that can be done. So, for example, with the automation in the game, automated feedback, what we can do is that the feedback will tell you, congratulations, you have done the task. You will receive feedback and the points in 48 hours, for example. But the problem with that is our experience with Seppo players is that people do not log back into the game. So in that case, I wouldn't prioritize the feedback aspect of the textual feedback aspect, but I would just prioritize the points giving thing. So then it can also create a bit of mystery of who will get to the top spots in the leaderboard. But usually it's less than 5% of people who will come back to look at the feedbacks they have received in the game.
So you recommend automatically responses, or
unless you have the resources to do that. Maybe again, it's like something related to resources. If you have, if you know that you will have time to do it and so on, then it's nice to have it. But if you cannot dedicate time, then it's better to have it automatic.
Yes, I think that that decision should be done on a company level. So when you have the 20 companies playing, then each company can decide whether we want to give manual feedback for all of our teams or none of our teams. So then we can make the game now. The basic level of the game would be with the automatic feedback, and then each company could have the decision that they will take the automatic feedback off and give the manual feedback during the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know, Santari, if then if each company chooses one system or the other, if it affects also I don't think, I mean, not the structure of the game, but the way we ask the questions. And that will be then ask the things differently, because if you have automated questions, then you have like pre-prepared answers and comments depending on the answers. And if it's on leave feedback, you will probably ask things different to the teams or to the.
Yes.
So
when you have automated feedback with the creative tasks, it's clear that we cannot ask questions that are right or wrong type of things. So it's more about opinions and how do you see your own working. And I think also with creative tasks, be it one way or the other, I would maybe even advocate that not do right or wrong answers with the creative task. I think it's a bit more like a school-like to have these essay answers and which are right or wrong. I would much rather have these as a multiple choice type of things or matching pairs type of things where there are clear right or wrong answers. And when players are using their time to generate interesting answers, then it's more about their own thought processes and opinions.
I was thinking about, it's possible to count the words or the symbols of the responses? Because
Not
if the
unfortunately.
responses, for example, is extended,
Yeah.
you do the maximum punctuation. If not, the minimum. So
Yeah.
to like Maria said, to be equal in each company.
Yeah.
If the evaluator said, no, I want to win this contest, and evaluate more positive in that way.
Yeah,
Well,
but
to
with
be fair.
Yeah, I do see what you mean. Then I guess it's the safest way is to have all the questions automatically given feedback, even though it uh, um, yeah, I think with these concerns, it's the best course of action that we do not now go with the manual feedback giving. With this first game, we go with the automated, so then it's fair and square for everyone, and we just make to the game tasks kind of um, um, create the feeling that these answers will be looked later on, gathered, and utilized with some way to give the feeling that this is you are not just making these answers to some internet space where no one else will see them ever again. So kind of make the feeling that this matters in the task giving.
Or it's possible in the questions. For example, question 3, multiple choice. You play the game, and then there are a space for feedback, for write notes or something like that. And after the game ends, you will send to this group or this single player all the responses of all the feedback that they have right, not only one by one, or your experience, how it is, Santeria?
Unfortunately, we don't have the function to send the feedback for the players afterwards the game, at least like automatically from Seppo. So obviously you can grab the emails. We can ask in the game the emails of the participants, but that will create quite a lot of manual work because then you would be looking at, well, this team has these emails, I will send an email for them. Manually, it's not something I would recommend. And unfortunately, Seppo doesn't have a feature to send emails for the players or any kind of. Sorry?
Yes, this will be a treatment that every sustainability manager or
should have to do.
To appreciate the feedback of the notes of the participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think instead of sending the individual feedbacks for the players, the best course of action is to grab the answers that the players have provided and by communication efforts show that these have been heard and shown that there is some impact on them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 10 minutes to the end of the time reservation. So I'm trying to go. We have to leave the story part for the next session. So we go through these last things. So the length of the game and using the player created content today, and then we will wrap up. So length of the game is a discussion on multiple levels. One of the key things is how much resources do we have for the playing. So we have now soft committed for the team game, but you will still have the discussion with all the companies if that's something we can do. But if it is, then we have to also find out how much time we can use for the game. So to get the group together and have a play. Quite often the team games last somewhere between 50 minutes to 90 minutes. And the game time consists of the first, usually 10 minutes, goes for organizing the event. So when people get in, some people come a bit late, you need to tell them now you have to pair up or group up with 3 to 5 people. One person chooses a device, scan the QR code, this basic thing, why we are doing this, what we are doing today, and getting the teams together. So usually that kind of organizing takes the first 10 minutes. Then we have the game happening. Usually if the game time is 90 minutes, then the game runs for 60 minutes. 10 minutes at start for organizing, 60 minutes for the game, and then the last 20 minutes is for open discussion about their feelings during the game and what kind of answers you created and some discussions in general. But you can leave that last 20 minutes of open discussion facilitation to at some other point. Maybe during the game you promise that these answers will be communicated, so you don't have to do it right away after the game. And yeah, the game can also last for 45 minutes, and then you do the organizing things for 10 to 15 minutes and have it so. But it's I would not advocate for less than 30-minute reservation for the game time, because the questions will get really reduced in amount if we have such a small time. I'm going to give you an example. If someone asks me, well, actually, if I ask Maria individually, Maria, what is your favorite color?
Green.
Green.
That's
Nice.
quick,
I
yeah.
have it also. So when I ask a simple question, what is your favorite color? It comes right away. Maybe like 10 seconds to write it into the game. Now, if this team who is in this Zoom call would be asked, what is your collective favorite color? Now, what we would do is we would all go one by one to tell our favorite color. If it's not clear cut what we choose, then we have to do compromises and find our common favorite color. Really simple question, but it will take, at least 4 minutes for all of us to come up with our favorite color together. Now, if the question is, what is the best course of action in your everyday work life to have an impact on environment? That's a bit more difficult question than what is your favorite color. And if 4 people are discussing about it, that task would probably require at least 10 minutes to talk it through. So then, if we have a 30-minute game, one task can take a third of the game time. So in that kind of consideration, what do you feel at this point? How much time you could reserve for this training / game moment?
So what with the things that you have said, maybe the best is the 1 hour or 1 hour and a half.
And that is something that you could book for all the employees who would be playing this game.
Yes, I think so. If yeah, we have to arrange the times and the different groups, and maybe we have to do it in 4 times in a week for different groups. And yes, but when we do I don't know, no. So a training course, we usually spend 1 hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah. How about others? Is 1 hour feasible?
I think so. Around 1 hour or a little more. Maybe it's the best.
Yes, for me, a limit of time. I have a question. There's a limit of time of the entire game or each question? For me, each question has more, well, you have 10 minutes for that. It's more quickly, then organize, and not 60 minutes, and then quickly, the 4 last minutes.
Yeah, you can have for each task this kind of like a time pressure. So each task can have a varying times to answer. We do not have a time pressure for the whole game, but usually the question is how much time you can reserve from your employees' calendar, because that time is always off from something else. So that's why I'm asking it with the reality kind of in mind that if you have 2000 employees, can you take that 1 hour from 2000 employees? So that's why I'm asking, like, what is the something that is feasible for you? Obviously all the training needs time in different topics, but it's a question of if this training is something that you can reserve the time, and I cannot answer it, so that's why I'm asking from all of you.
On depend of the number of questions, but more or less we said with Maria last 8, for example.
Well, but it's not like the number of questions, I think, but it's because depending if the questions are easier or more complicated, then you can have in an hour, you can have more or less questions. Is just to know if you will be able to reserve an hour and a half for each training. I mean, for all the staff to carry out that, or I don't know, maybe human resources said that it cannot be that long. And in that case, we will have to adapt it.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was going with, the amount of time that is able to be spent, because if you have 1 hour, I would say roughly the number of tasks in a team game that has maybe 3, maximum 4 creative tasks, and the rest are multiple choice, matching pairs. The number of tasks is about 10 to 12, 10 to 13. If you have 45 minutes, it's probably somewhere around 8, maybe with 2 creative exercises. If you have, more the time we have, the more questions we can do, and less topics we have to cut off.
I think in our case, 2 times of 13 minutes is the best. In totally 1 hour, more or less.
Okay, so 1 hour for the playtime. That would be in the same sync with everyone else, that we can reserve the 1 hour. If we calculate that 10 minutes is for the planning or the organizing the moment, and then 50 minutes for the game, that would be somewhere around 10 tasks with 2 to 3 creative exercises. Obviously it depends how much difficulty the tasks will have, so, and that is up to you, and obviously I will be helping you in the time that give you tips to how to make it more difficult, how to make it more easier, and to have the balance there. Yes. Okay, I think now we are nearing the end time of our meeting. We can go through, this is not relevant at this point, so I can talk about it in the next time, because we have a session in 2 weeks. So looking at the timeline, next in 16th of September, we will have our 2-hour session. During that 2-hour session, I will teach you how to use Seppo. I will create, after this training session, I will create for all of you Seppo credentials. So you can already go, if you want, and try it out how Seppo works. There is no limit or anything what you can try there, but you can have your own go if you want to do that. But in 2 weeks time, I will go through collectively how Seppo works, so you get all grasp of how to create the games. What should happen before this is on your side, you should now come up with some kind of structure for that 1 hour game time that you know now that about 10 tasks. So on a title level, I would like to have you do is kind of what each task number would be kind of going through. So task number 1 is intro to Emas. Task number 10 will be finishing the game. What will happen between that? Will we have one task about practicalities during your everyday work life? Will we have something about carbon footprint? So you need to have discussion between all of you that what things you have on a title level. So no requirement yet to make the full game, all the informations and so on.
Like
it will help.
Points.
Yeah, basically
Points,
bullet
okay.
points. What
Okay.
would be the title for each task? If that comes easily, then nothing is stopping you to already start to basically collecting the information that you want to teach in that topic. Kind of start already brainstorming what it means to achieve the title's goals. What do we need to message there in the game? No need to think about yet, will this be multiple choice or will this be creative? Those we will go through next time when we look at the system itself. And I think at this point we will leave the story discussions. You can look at the PowerPoints when I send it to you to get a grasp of idea what the story means in Seppo, but it's basically one gamification element. So it's not mandatory, but it can make your game a bit more game-like, so to say. So instead of just a quiz, you can have some kind of story in the game that goes on and explains why we are doing this game. With value and strategy implementation, we have had in the past games where CEO has been kidnapped and where the players need to rescue, and the kidnappers have left pieces of the strategy on the way and they have to find out it in the time. Problem with that story is not every employee wants to save the CEO, so choose carefully what you choose. All right, I'm sorry that we had to rush this end of the session. Time was well spent, the whole 3 hours. Do you have any questions or any thoughts at this point?
No, I think no.
No. I will share the inputs and the outputs of the discussion with the others.
Yeah.
So that for the 16 we come back with the answers and also the decisions we have to make.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do, when you come up with the bullet point list, and if you come up with some ideas related to certain of those bullet points, that what could be used as a content in that task points, if you can send those to me before the training in the 16th, I could maybe already pick one of those and show it that the Seppo how it works. So I could already show it your material, but it's not mandatory. I know that you all work also with different things that not just a Seppo game for the full next 2 weeks. So
Okay,
yes.
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you
Okay.
have any questions for me later on, just feel free to send me an email and I'll try to send today the PowerPoint so you have something to look from this meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
perfect, Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.